Wonderful. Thank you very much for having me here. And I put that picture up there because it's the Rome Colosseum, and I really want to go there. And I'm unemployed at the minute because, surprisingly, I was at Sheffield United and got sacked. And that's where I'm hoping to go, probably in 2 weeks' time, and I've actually got some time in my hand to go do it. So that's why I've got it up there, not for any other reason, just because I like the picture. So I'm farmer's son from a sheep farm in New Zealand. I've been in the UK 20 years. I'm a Kiwi, just in case anyone didn't pick my accent, call me an Aussie, those Aussie cheating bastards. I'll talk about them later. I'm going to speak really quickly because that's just essentially what I'm going to try and jam as much information as quickly as I can. So I've worked on lots of sports and rugby, cricket, football, and I hate football. So I was at Sheffield United, which I just spoke about, and obviously it must have been rubbish. I actually had shit there, but I changed it because I was told it was, don't know. I changed it to rubbish, but we actually had a really great year on the performance side of it, and we had 4 different managers, and we had 42 players, and it was just the perfect storm of a season. It was absolutely dreadful, so we obviously got relegated. Performance manager, there we go, there's a great big title up there about all the different things I do, and essentially I try and go out and make sure that I bring in every piece of excellence I can into Sheffield United and into any sports teams that I work with. And to be a performance manager and somebody who tries to create elite performance, you've got to have lots of different elements to your game. So, you know, I've got all this stuff here as a fitness coach, and I've sort of evolved into being what I am, so a sports science degree and all these other different things. But multi-sports is important, and a particular type of personality. You've got to have the balls to be able to go out there and say, let's try and change this because it might be cool. Now, this idiot here, this is a picture I took in China. I couldn't believe he was doing it. He did this for 10 minutes. He sat on this poor guy. Don't know, he's the physiotherapist. I assume he has a hamstring injury. I just couldn't believe it. But I took these pictures. I just kept walking around, just kept leaning on him and squatting on him. But world's best practice is what I try and bring to any organization. And obviously, when you're doing that and you're trying to bring best performance, it's a lot of science coming. You've got to make sure that it's appropriate. You've got to know where it fits into your organization. It doesn't have to be something so super cool and brilliant and crazy to work. Actually, it can be really basic. And when you bring in lots of science from all the academia which is surrounding us now in elite sports, you've got to know where it fits. And part of that is obviously all these different people who are here. You've got managers, coaches, players, physiotherapists, the tea lady, cleaners, all sorts of different people. Because football clubs, and I hate football, I think it's a shit game. Rugby is a great game, but you've got a big pot, and everyone wants to have their opinion because football is all about opinions. So you've got to be a sort of a systems guy, all these different things down here, you know, facilitator. You've got to sort of have vision, and you've got to be a little bit off the normal beaten path from a normal sort of a sports science guy or a strength conditioning coach to be able to bring something different to an organization. And that's, you know, at different times you can be hugely successful with that, but you've got to have lots of these different things in your armory. You've got to know your product, and basically we're dealing with human beings, and it's almost like human trafficking. That we're going to get a player in, we're going to use them as hard and fast as we can. They are a consumable item, and once they've either a rugby player hit enough people and their shoulder starts to go, we sell them, we move them on. And in that performance environment, it's obviously hugely pressurized. The pressure's on all the time. It's high profile. You're in the media. You know, it's continually pressing upon everything you do. And if you don't learn really, really fast, you die and you're not successful. So you've got to make sure you're able to work within that. And part of that over the time of being working in football, because I worked in rugby league, which is a great sport. If you've not been to see a game of rugby league, go. There's a lot of change. So 50% of our potential was being completed in 99, all the way through down here. Yeah, right now I think we're about 95% of our potential. There's a really great fitness coaches that go to Sheffield United. One of the new guys is over here. He took my job. And there's a new guy called Dave Morrison. Don't be embarrassed, Macca. It's okay. But we are pushing these boundaries, and the gains are getting smaller and smaller. But creating, because that's what it's all about. I've got to know about the culture, the systems, the limitations. Then I've got to do something. And quite often you can spend a lot of time looking at loads of shit, looking at loads of research articles, lots of different people. We've got to do something about it. And then part of that environment you've got to create, certainly in pro sports, is it's got to be a tough environment. And your tough players, 99% of the time, those guys are going to be the same guys. If they're physically tough, they're mentally tough. And you've got to create that hard-working environment. You've got to minimize the leakage because you've got to control them and make sure it's hard on them because that will make them better. And then to keep the momentum to it, maintain that. This is Eli, my translator, when I go to China and work with the team out there. You've got to be happy. He's the happiest man you've ever seen in your life. He's a great set of teeth, isn't he? Eli, he's great. But you've got to be happy. You've got to enjoy your work. If you don't, you got to change. You got to go look for something else. And that's why I try and make sure all my staff who work with me try and have a happy time. So the end product's obviously we're trying to win games. We're trying to advance the team, advance the players, advance the club. You've got to be bringing something to it because in most of the organizations I go in, they're static. They're not moving forward. So if I'm creating a winning environment, you've got to do something. You can't stand still. There's got to be some progression. There's got to be some movement, even just a millimeter, because it'll help you. So I think it's a brilliant job. It's a great job because they come in and get to troubleshoot and help people, which is great. And my big thing here with football, it's like the big brother, and they're really worried about you. Certainly when you're not a footballer, I'm not one of them. I'm a civilian. And there's a lot of cynicism and a lot of suspicion about, this is a cow that I made, because I couldn't make a cow. That is the cow that I made today. There's good cattle. So why Steve is a guy that I tap into a lot, and he's a super trainer. He's a great bloke, but he says you've got to have good cattle. That's players. However good your systems are around you, we have great systems at Sheffield United, but it failed. And these cheating Aussie bastards here, okay, no one's in the room. They had 2 books, one account books that everyone got to see, and then they had another account book which they nearly doubled their wage structure. And they carried on multiple wins of the Australian National League, but they were spending miles above. So they actually got the titles, all their titles stripped from them and everything. The most money you spend helps you win. That was the essential there, that, Arsenal, Man United, Chelsea, these guys got a lot of money, and that is obviously a massive part of it, much research you can put into it. And the other thing is, obviously, wisdom is great. And over a period of time, you develop this body of wisdom. So there's young bucks out there, that's really cool, but don't forget the old folks. Thank you very much.